This is the series in molecular biology, and today we will talk about the chemical nature of the genetic material. Let's talk about the history of events in discovery of genetic material. In 1865, Gregor Mendel discovered that hereditary information is transmitted as discrete factors. In 1869, Johann Friedrich Miescher discovered DNA and named it nuclein. In 1881, Edward Zacharias showed chromosomes are composed of nuclein. In 1899, Richard Alton renamed nuclein to nucleic acid. And by 1900s, chemical structures of all 20 amino acids had been identified. In 1928, Frederick Griffith discovered the transforming principle. In 1944, Avery, MacLeod and McCarty performed biochemical characterization of the transforming principle. In 1952, Alfred Hershey and Martha Chase performed Hershey and Chase experiment. In 1944-52, Erwin Chargaff deduced the Chargaff's rules, and in 1953, James Watson and Francis Crick discovered the double helical model of DNA. So we will talk about few of the major experiments in this history. We'll talk about Frederick Griffith's experiment, we'll talk about the biochemical characterization, and we'll also discuss the Hershey and Chase experiment before we discuss the double helical model deduced by Watson and Crick. So Griffith's experiment. In 1928, Frederick Griffith studied pathogenic strain of bacterium called Streptococcus pneumoniae, then called pneumococcus, that causes a fatal pneumonia in animals. Streptococcus pneumonia was found to exist in two forms, S strain and R strain. S strain is capsulated and virulent, and it produces smooth and shiny colonies due to the presence of a mucus polysaccharide coat, whereas the R strain is non-capsulated and non-virulent, and it produces rough colonies as it is unable to manufacture the mucus coat around it. So the experiment was that he injected the R strain bacteria into a group of mouse, and he discovered that when he injected the R strain into the mice survives. Then he injected the S strain into the mice dies. He injected the heat-treated S strain into the mice survives. And when he injected the heat-treated S strain along with the R strain into the mice dies. So what have been the possible interpretations of these experiments were? First, in the S strain bacteria life, that means when the S strain bacteria was injected into the mice, we should know that S strain is virulent and it has a polysaccharide coat around it, which isn't attacked by the mouse's immune system. So when S strain was injected into the mice, the polysaccharide coat was not attacked by the mouse's immune system, and hence it becomes fatal for the mice. When we injected the R strain, we know that it is non-virulent and there is no polysaccharide coat. So when it was injected into the mice, the immune system attacked on it and the R strain was not able to survive and the mice was able to survive. When he injected the heat-killed S strain bacteria into the mice, due to the heat treatment, the polysaccharide coat was ruptured, and because of which the S strain became non-virulent and it was attacked by the mouse's immune system and the mice survives. And the last interpretation was when he injected the S strain heat-killed S strain bacteria along with the R strain, it becomes fatal for the mice. But why? Because there is no polysaccharide coat in the S strain and there is no polysaccharide coat in the R strain. So it still survives. What could be the reason? So the reason is the transforming principle, which was deduced by Frederick Griffith. He said that the R strain bacteria had somehow been transformed by the heat-killed S strain due to absorption of some transforming principle or substance. So basically he was trying to say that something from the S strain heat-killed bacteria was transferred into the R strain bacteria, because of which the R strain was able to synthesize a smooth polysaccharide coat and it became virulent, because of which the mice dies. So this must be due to the transfer of the genetic material as proposed by Frederick Griffith through this experiment. But there was a drawback of the Griffiths experiment, and it was that the biochemical nature of the genetic material was not defined. He just hypothesized that there is something which is being transferred and which caused this virulence in the R strain, and the mice dies. So this was then done or cleared. This confusion was cleared by three scientists, Oswald Avery, Colin MacLeod, and Maclean McCarthy, by means of biochemical characterization of the transforming principle. Now this experiment they conducted was to determine the identity of the hereditary material. So you can see there is a culture media, and what they have done is they have used heat to kill the S strain of Streptococcus pneumonia, and the capsule components are removed from solution. So the green colored are proteins, the blue is DNA, and the red is RNA. So in the first culture tube, that is the control, no enzyme is used, proteins, DNA and RNA all are present here. In the second, proteases degrade proteins in the sample, RNA and DNA are still present. In the third tube, they use ribonucleases which degrade the RNA in the sample, so proteins and DNA are still present. And in the fourth tube, deoxyribonucleases degrade DNA, proteins and RNA are still present. So next what they do is that in all the tubes they add R cells, live R cells. So initially they have used S cells, right, and they have heat killed them, so because of which all the components and the cells are in this solution now. And now what they have done is that they have added R cells to this by doing the respective enzyme treatments, RNAs, proteases, DNAs. After doing that, now they are adding the R cells. So when they add R cells, S cells are present, therefore transformation occurred. So in the first tube it was control. So in control everything was there, DNA, RNA, protein. And when they added R cells, so what happens was transformation occurred. So that means something got transferred from S cells to R cells, and that is why we could see transformation. But in the second tube now, in the second tube proteins were killed or they were removed, right? So S cells were present, therefore transformation occurred. Transformation occurs in the absence of proteins. This is what they discovered from this. Then S cells were present, therefore transformation occurred. Transformation occurs in the absence of RNA. So this means that it happened here also. But in the last tube the S cells are absent. Therefore transformation did not occur. Transformation does not occur without DNA. So this means that in all the cells, in the first tube was control, the second tube did not have proteins, the third tube did not have RNA, the fourth tube did not have DNA. So in the last tube we could not see the S cells. This was because transformation did not occur. So this makes a conclusion that transformation occurs only with the presence of DNA. So since we removed DNA in the last tube, we could not see the cells. So this was how they characterized the biochemical nature of the genetic material, which was discovered in Frederick Griffiths' experiment. So in conclusion, they discovered that proteases and RNases did not affect transformation. So transforming substance was not protein or RNA. DNA inhibited transformation, suggesting its role in transformation. Thus, DNA is the genetic material. However, many biologists were still not convinced with this discovery, and hence came other set of experiments like Hershey and Chase experiment,